to this K-Leaders YouTube channel. I'm Francis Chan.
Hi, I'm Carmen Chi.
Carmen, last time we talked that we will talk about shareholders agreement this time.
Yes, so this time I'm going to talk about what is the most efficient way to get your shareholders agreement done. So why do I say how to get your shareholders agreement done in the most efficient way? Well, I'll share a little bit about my experience in practice. A lot of times, some of my clients will call me up and say, hey, Carmen, can you please draft us a shareholders agreement? We have 45 shareholders. We haven't really agreed on the terms yet. So maybe why don't you just use one of the precedents that you've come across or you've used before or ones that are in your database, and then just draft us one based on that. And then we'll review it and then we'll give you our comments and then we'll just delete the provisions that we think are irrelevant. Well, I can tell you this is the most inefficient way of getting your shareholders agreement done because, well, it's going to take me quite a bit of time to amend the shareholders agreement for you. And a lot of times, some of the provisions that are in the precedent are actually not quite applicable to your situation. So I would advise that you talk to your business partners, sit together with your lawyers, agree on the major terms of the shareholders provisions, and then get it done by way of a written shareholders agreement.
Yes, I think some of the clients also approached me, said, Francis, can you give me a template?
Oh.
I said, I think it is not an easy task because shareholders agreement is so important to the shareholders. So as you suggest, you need to have the tailored clauses to protect the interests of both parties. So I do recommend them to approach the lawyers.
Yeah. Hey, Francis, so, you're quite an experienced entrepreneur yourself and you own a business. So what are some of the issues that would pop up or you would come across if you were to partner with other people?
I think it's very easy to get different opinions, different views on the same thing. So there may be disputes in the future.
Okay, so see, this is one of the reasons why you should get a shareholders agreement done because, well, first of all, the shareholders agreement governs the relationship between shareholders, and it also sets out in the shareholders agreement the general principle on how the business should be managed. And also another most important thing is that it provides a way for shareholders to deal with differences, disagreements, and disputes.
Carmen, you mentioned that the shareholders shall sit together and discuss. So do they need to produce in writings?
Well, shareholders agreement, you're asking whether it can just be an oral agreement,
Yes.
right? Well, a shareholders agreement is really just a commercial agreement. Of course, if disputes ever takes place, a lot of times it will go to court. So I've come across some of the cases that has actually gone to court. And of course, like the things that they dispute is not whether they have a shareholders agreement or not, because a lot of times, of course, you would have some sort of meeting of the minds in between business partners that there is a way to run your business and there are certain agreements in between shareholders. But a lot of times it's really when something goes wrong in the business relationship and a shareholder would put forward a set of facts saying that, well, shareholders agreement, we've agreed to A, but then really another person would dispute that fact and say that, well, actually the term is actually B. So you don't actually want to spend a lot of time or actually waste costs just to ascertain what you all agreed at the time. Because as you all know, for a commercial agreement, in order to be effective, it requires clarity, certainty, and completeness. Of course, you also need to be clear about the signing parties and when it becomes effective.
Yeah, I do agree that it should be in writing form because when time passes, then everyone will not be so clearly remember what has been agreed.
Agreed with that.
Carmen, you mentioned that preparation is key. So how to manage with the other negotiation with the other shareholders?
How do you want to manage your commercial negotiation really depends on whether you are a founder or an investor. So, Francis, you're quite an experienced entrepreneur and you're actually quite a successful one too. So, I just want to ask you this. So, for a founder, you have your own business. And if you were to partner with other people, what would be the most important thing for you when other people join in?
I definitely would like to keep control of the operation of the business.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, aside from being profitable, control is one of the most important things for a founder to retain. So, what is control? Now, what is control for a founder? Really, control is when you're able to say no or veto to business decisions that are not beneficial to your business. So, another thing for a founder is that before you come into negotiation with an investor, you got to think about, well, how much of my business am I willing to give to the investors? Because investors, they don't just give you money to run the business. In return, they all want something. Sometimes the investor may want a majority shareholding, or sometimes they may just want 10 to 20%.
Sure. I think the investors are very much concerned about security of their investments. So they would ask for a lot of provisions in the agreement to protect their interests and control. But on the other hand, it will influence the rights of the founder. So the founder will find that they have less control over the businesses. So I have some cases that the founder not even have the exit costs. That is not fair.
I would say this, like if you are a founder or if you are a minority shareholder, I would advise you to get legal advice at a very early stage. Talk to your lawyer, tell your lawyer exactly what you need so that your experienced lawyer is able to negotiate for you at the negotiation table and protect your rights. So now let's talk about investors. So what do investors look for? So as an investor, what do they look for? See, they may not necessarily want control or operation of the business, but what the investor want is return.
Yes.
So they may actually ask the founder to give them certain priority when it comes to being paid a dividend, or they may want to be issued a certain class of shares. So another thing that the investor would probably talk to you as founder about is about exit strategy, whether it's by way of maybe an IPO, or they may get other professional investors to come in and buy your business years later so that the investor get a premium out of his or her investment. So another thing investor they may require is priority of getting their investment back in the event of a liquidation. Another thing is investors, they want to monitor the business. They want to make sure that it's profitable and it's actually doing the right thing. So a lot of times the investors, they may require or they may request the company to give them financial information on a regular basis. So these are some of the things that investors may ask for. So founders, do bear in mind when you're at the negotiation table, when you're talking to an investor.
I think it is very important that in the agreement, the interest of the investor and founder must also be protected. So next episode, we will talk about the major contents of a shareholders agreement, right?
Yes, so next time we'll talk about the normal provisions that you will see in a shareholders agreement.
So thank you for watching and see you next time.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please give us a like and subscribe and share with your friends. Look forward to your continued support. See you next time. Bye-bye.